All right, welcome to the Dual Redundancy, not to be confused with the old Dual Redundancy, the only podcast where you can hear all latest in television and entertainment news with too many hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and another one is
John Berwick, and a third one is
Kyle Bridger. I would say that I am the blood sport to John's Harley Quinn to Dave's Peacemaker.
Oh, I really thought you were gonna make me the polka dot man.
I should have made you the polka dot man.
I should have been that.
But do you have to expel your polka dots every 2 hours or twice every 20? What is it? What was the rule?
It's very complicated. A lot of new characters, a lot of new powers in a film that we've kind of heard before.
Yep.
This is the Suicide Squad we're talking about tonight, not Suicide Squad that came out, I think it was like 5 years ago to the day of this new one that has some of the same characters, some of the same actors, but confusing. We'll try to break it down and discuss it from three non-superhero fans. So that should be interesting. And then
you might get more confused after we do.
Possibly. Then we'll talk Mr. Corman, an Apple TV Plus series. And then here's a tease, a brand new segment for the podcast. So that's at the end. But until then, we have this first segment. And John, I don't remember what it is. What is it?
In and out points.
In or the out. In or the out. In, out.
Yes, it is in and out points. All right, late last week, Variety came in with an exclusive, and it was regarding the Jeopardy hosting series, competition, whatever it is. They think they know who's going to take the reins of the syndicated game show after Alex Trebek, ended his 36-year run. Mike Richards, the show's executive producer, not the Seinfeld actor Michael Richards. That would be an interesting host they should have got. But Mike Richards is in advanced negotiations to take over for the show after joining last year as an executive producer. A source close to the situation cautioned that there's no certainty that that the sides will close a deal, but the other candidates are still in the mix. But Richards is clearly the front runner. And as of this recording, August 9th, Monday night, this is where we stand. Who knows? Our luck, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., they're going to actually confirm somebody else or confirm this deal. But as of this moment, Mike Richards is our Jeopardy host. Kyle, what do you think of that?
I only saw, I think, a few of the shows that he was hosting, and he seemed to be doing a fine job with it. I wouldn't necessarily say he would be my first pick, but he seemed to be doing fine with it. But I mean, you get all the backstory around, possible situations that he was in that he didn't really act appropriately. And then, what is it? Advanced negotiations with himself? I don't know. Who's he negotiating with, I mean, he's the EP of a show. And I said this to you, Dave. I'm like, you could have told anybody in the world that they would be executive producer on one of the longest running game shows of all time. And they would have been like, yeah, that's perfect for me, man. I'll take that to the bank. But apparently this guy, the drive and the ego is so big that he's like, I could be host too. It's just so wild.
Yeah, it is wild. It reminds me of it was in the Grinch movie with Jim Carrey, where he's like, dinner with myself. Oh, can't cancel that again. And it's just like, come on. It seems just sketchy, this whole thing. And the internet is far from happy with it. Many accuse Richards of pulling a Dick Cheney, meaning that he led a hiring committee only to hire himself. That's what happened, I guess, back in the day, when Bush was looking for a VP.
He said, what, would you look at that? I'm the best candidate.
I went through all of them and it was me. Others felt tricked by this kind of carousel of guest hosts they had for only to go to a producer. John, what do you think of this whole situation with Mike Richards?
I think I'm kind of in agreement. It seems a little suspicious that it's just like, oh yeah, let's have a bunch of guest hosts, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be me. Like, I don't know. Not doesn't seem too fair, to be honest.
And I remember watching him. I'm like, okay, he's good. He's fine. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, get him a deal right now.
Yeah,
It
I
was
know.
just like, and he's kind of, he's a bland game show host. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like there needs to be more. There needs to be a little bit more excitement, but maybe they're looking for something that's stable and same old and just goes with the flow. And by they, I mean him, because he's, again, an executive producer. But I did see this one story from The Ringer, and because it brings up how he kind of got the guest hosting role. He was after Ken Jennings, the second one to go. Supposedly, he made it seem like it was a last minute thing. It was like, oh, the host fell through. I got to jump in. I'll save the day. And everyone's like, whoo, look at this guy coming in last minute. Good for him, to kind of sell. That might not be 100% true. It seemed like it was more like a minor conflict with maybe scheduling the days, and nope, no other option. He had to do it. He jumped in to fill those shoes, and it's like, dude, I know that's COVID, but it's like the show does tape in Los Angeles. I mean, there's, I think, a couple celebrities in Los Angeles that could maybe take the drive into work. Like, I don't know. That's just me. So it's just,
it just seems like shady. If he kind of helped himself to a guest host spot, you think, okay, that's fine. He got his wish to host it for a little bit, and now we'll give it to somebody that I guess realistically or collectively, we all expected it might go to somebody with, some more, I don't know, clout, I guess, as far as hosting goes. But I just don't know how you can propel yourself into this what's now like a coveted role. I mean, they had some huge guest stars who would be willing to host it.
People were dying for LeVar Burton. And he did end up getting a week after that petition. He was given 1 week. He had to tape, they taped 5 episodes in a day. So his 1 week was a day of shooting. Mm-hmm. And then it turned out to be up against the Olympics. So the timing wasn't great. And I mean, ratings for the whole guest host experiment did kind of slide as it went on. No surprise, Mike Richards put himself second to go after Ken Jennings. So it was like at the bump of all the excitement. But then as the weeks go on, the ratings went down just naturally, because it's like, okay, summer's happening, Olympics. We've seen this before. I don't, so it's like, the timing of putting this fan favorite towards the end, it was, I don't know. It just seems like, only one day. He didn't really have that much time to practice or rehearse or make an impact. And meanwhile, the guy who was the executive producer on set every day seemed like got the time he wanted. But
I mean, the whole thing is really it's shady. It's shady.
I'm sure there's obviously there's whatever Sony brass and other people that have to really make the decision. Like, it wasn't always going to be 100% his decision.
Yeah, of course.
But it does seem like you hired this guy, you like him as whatever, the executive producer, showrunner, whatever he is, and he wants this job. Now you're gonna piss him off by not giving him the job. And
you gotta walk the hall. You gotta walk the hallways with this guy.
Yeah,
you're gonna walk the hallways and see this guy at the at the meeting.
Yeah,
because he's an executive.
And then you're gonna be like the show for the new host.
Yeah, You're like, what are you gonna say? Oh, sorry, we didn't give you that job that you really wanted. See you at the next meeting. It's just it puts everyone in a weird spot. And I was gonna kind of say maybe he deserves a little bit of a chance to I don't know, make it his own. Because you think he was a game show host for a short time before, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's done a bunch of different, I think it was Beauty and the Geek. He did The Pyramid, which was also Sony Pictures. It was on Game Show Network, which is owned by Sony Pictures, The Pyramid and Divided. So like he's done some hosting with the Sony Pictures family in the past, but obviously nothing as big as this. He was a co-executive producer on The Price is Right, which we kind of mentioned it earlier. There is two different discrimination lawsuits that came to light from The Price is Right time that people are talking about now. So he definitely has a game show background, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I was just saying, like, oh, maybe we should give him a chance. But it's just like the way that he sounds like finagled and worked this into his favor just seems like so shady that how could you be on his side for, you know, to legitimately become the host, whereas somebody else who just is hoping, like, I mean, Aaron Rodgers talked about it. He loved it when he was a kid. Like he was just hoping that maybe he could get the possibility to maybe do it full time, you know, but it's just like when you have somebody working and finagling their way into it,
they're already
it doesn't feel good. It's not like, oh, let's give this guy a chance. It's like this guy is rigging the system to make it for himself.
He knows what they're looking for because he's the one of them looking. But maybe this was like all like a test. Like they leaked this like news to kind of get like, let's get the reaction from people here. Let's hear what it is, you know. And then it's like, oh wait, they don't want this. They want this guy. Maybe we'll go with that one. So, you know.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff with this whole host search where like names were probably thrown out by publicists to get a campaign going, to get this the reviews for this person. It's all a business at the end of the day. The whole thing just seems shady. But
yeah,
again, who knows? Tomorrow morning we may wake up and it may be John Berwick, the new host of Jeopardy. We don't know.
Could be.
Could be Scarlett Johansson. And that's our next in and out point. We were off last week, so we weren't able to discuss the big battle between Scarlett Johansson and Disney. So I want to talk about it tonight because it is one of the biggest news stories probably of the year. To quickly recap, Scarlett Johansson filed a lawsuit that alleges that Disney breached her contract by releasing the highly anticipated superhero film Black Widow on its streaming service Disney+. Her salary would be in large part based on the film's box office haul. Well, when the film goes to Disney+, less people are seeing it in theaters. So that's the main story here. I got reactions from different people. I got some details, but overall initial thoughts, Kyle, when you heard this news, Scarlett Johansson suing Disney, what did you think?
I mean, not surprised in that I thought it was going to happen because, I mean, we probably foresaw something like this happening eventually with just the streaming services and the already pre-existing contracts that might not have had the streaming revenue in the language of the contract. But it was just shocking to see that it was like a battle over, you know, a major Disney entity, because Marvel's like their big thing. So when you have an actor that's actively trying to, you know, or is actively suing like a huge corporation like that, it's a big deal. And I mean, I don't think she's going to reprise any role in Marvel anymore. So it's like, what the hell, for her sake, it's like, I'm just going to try and get as much money as I can. But the whole thing about this article was that her agents in 2019 foresaw this possibly being a problem. Therefore, that shows that this isn't a pandemic thing. This is a streaming service problem, not so much a theater problem.
Yes.
So that's the most interesting part to me.
And I'm going to go into that here because Disney was quick to respond to this lawsuit. Said, quote, "There is no merit whatsoever to this filing," and then said that the suit is, quote, "especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Disney has fully complied with Ms. Johansson's contract, and furthermore, the release of Black Widow on Disney Plus with Premier Access has significantly enhanced her ability to earn additional compensation on top of the $20 million she's already received to date." So there's a lot of things to unpack there. One, they're pretty much blaming the pandemic, but as we'll talk about in a little bit, not so fast. It was more about streaming. And then 2, it's like they're kind of like, she already made 20 million. Isn't that good enough? Kind of thing. And that's where like I think a lot of people on the internet have been like choosing sides, which has been like a weird thing to kind of like watch, where it's like, yeah, Scarlett Johansson's made all this money, oh, poor Disney. It's like, poor Disney. You know how much money Disney has? Like, Disney's not the underdog in this situation. No. So it's just like weird how like, yeah, people are picking sides. Oh, I'm Disney. Oh, I'm Scarlett Johansson. It's just like, I mean, it's millions of dollars for both of them.
I know. But again, one is the power force and the other is technically labor. So I don't know. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah. I got an email I'm going to read off that kind of proves what Kyle was saying. Because, I mean, it was written before the pandemic, but it was also after other films were released on Disney+. It said Marvel's top lawyer, or this was from Marvel's top lawyer, and they talked about a typical wide release. That was what they said in the email, and it was going to be like what we did for Captain Marvel. And quote, "We totally understand that Scarlett's willingness to do this film and her whole deal is based on the premise that the film would be widely theatrically released like our other pictures." So as you were saying, Kyle, it's right there in the email with the team from Marvel. This film will be in wide release in theaters. It's not going to be a streaming film. It's not going to be like Luca or Soul or any of those films. It's a theater movie. And well, obviously the pandemic changed things, but there's money involved here because it's in those contracts. It's it's based on box office. Well, if the box office is affected, I took a pay cut of my normal amount because of the box office, and now you owe me money. It's just crazy to me, because how did they not work this out? Because first of all, it's a huge, big deal that this story came out, because that means there was discussions, there was talk behind the scenes to kind of get this straightened out, and those must have fallen through for this to become public. And then it's like, we've had over a year of this. Warner Brothers gave bumps to all their like film leads and director, like Gal Gadot for Wonder Woman 1984, with that old HBO Max day and date release. They're like, "Oh, I know this is different than what we planned. Here's some money. There you go. Hopefully this covers it."
Yeah.
So like Disney, you didn't see that coming? You didn't want to maybe send her something, a little extra fruit basket? Like, come on. Like,
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do that. And, for how much flack Warner Brothers caught for going and doing the streaming, at least they offered a little bit more on the back end from the streaming.
Yeah.
And I mean, they caught a bunch of flack for doing that. And now Disney is doing the same exact thing. And, no one's even talking about it until it took the actress suing the company for basically back pay. And so Disney's really screwing this up on the back end, when Warner Brothers was like, here's the blueprint, just don't mess it up like we did, kind of thing. And they still seem to
how all the freak out when we did it. Don't follow in our footsteps, do something different. And they went backwards instead. Because it's like Disney went against what they normally did for Black Widow after its opening weekend. They actually told some numbers for Disney Plus. Normally those things are secret. They don't like to say those kind of numbers. Netflix keeps everything secret. They said viewership records for Disney Plus. First they said the movie made $80 million in North America domestically in theaters. Okay, there you go. And then it also made $60 million globally on Disney Plus. Well, it's like, you can't brag about how much it made on one and then blame the pandemic on the other. It's like, that's $60 million that you made on Disney Plus that probably you didn't make in theaters, which Scarlett Johansson is owed because her deal was based on theaters. So it's like, you can't be like, "Oh, well, we didn't really make any money on this. I mean, Disney Plus." And it's like, no, you just bragged about how much money you made. Like, it's just back and forth. I realized I haven't gotten John's take on this whole thing. John, what's your whole take on the Johansson versus Disney Plus debacle?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of agree with what Kyle was saying earlier about how there's like two sides to it almost. And on one hand, yeah, you're owed what you're owed, and if circumstances change, I think the onus is on Disney to make it right. But at the same time, I mean, you're talking about sums of money that normal people never would even see. Like, you know what I mean? At what point is going back for, putting your fist in the cookie jar again just too much? I'm just not sure. I'm a little conflicted. I feel like I'm stuck in between those two ideas of, yeah, she worked, she's owed the money, and 20 million is a hell of a lot of money on top of probably anything else that she's made in her lifetime. I'm just a little stuck between the two.
It's really tough because it's like this whole thing. It's not a black and white issue. It's a lot of gray area between who gets what and when, but it's like it's hard to compare Scarlett Johansson and Robert Downey Jr. But Robert Downey Jr. was getting towards the end, for what he put in through all those films with Marvel and the whole phases and all that. I think he got like I could be wrong with this amount, like 60 million for like Infinity War. Whatever he got, profit participation and whatever that's his deal was based on. And it's like, well, Scarlett Johansson put in the work. She's there, whatever, 6, 7, 8 films. And this was her standalone movie. Finally, she finally got it. This was her swan song. And it's like, well, I mean, obviously no one could foresee the pandemic, but it's like, doesn't she like kind of earn her money from all these years? It's tough because 20 million is a lot, something I will never see. But
I'm gonna change it to a kind of a different perspective of like, I think the union for the actors or something should put in their next contract that ratings need to be made plain and simple, available to everyone, because I mean it's going to impact them even more so with more stuff going streaming. It's like I need to know how the movie's doing because they're at a big negotiating like loss if you don't know how well the show or the movie is planning or could do. You know what I'm saying? It's like
because it's like nowadays for the stock prices at Wall Street, it's almost less about box office and like seeing the film do well. It's like, what's your subscriber numbers? What is like, how many streams are you getting? So, and it's like that information is mostly private. They don't say that, but it's like a lot of business is based on those numbers now.
Yeah.
Not only with Wall Street, but with talent, with production, with because it's like, oh, if this movie fails, maybe at the box office, but does really well in streaming. If we don't know it does well in streaming, that actor or production team may not get another shot because it was a failure. And like, we won't know like if it was popular. And it's like, so it's like, and that's someone, possibly a crew, a director, a writer's livelihood is based on these secret numbers.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out like, what's the most likely scenario? Are like the numbers like super inflated so they're like unusable, so it's like
the
almost
2
like
minutes of Netflix
views total, and it's like a minute each view, or if the numbers are so good that they're scared of saying how much they make because they know there would be like crazy backlash, more people would want more money, all these other things. So, or, is it I don't know. I don't know. Or the numbers like super, super bad. And so they're trying to keep this secret so that, if it was found out that not a lot of people are using Netflix or the subscriber base isn't there, then the Wall Street ring would go through the floor. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of combination of all those things, but the ratings, the fact that the ratings are hidden is just, dude, it's wild to me. It's like we don't know. It's like we're living in fantasy land.
We're told it's popular and we just got to go with it. One last point. Actors are on Scarlett Johansson's side here. SAG-AFTRA, the president of that union, said Disney should be ashamed with their response in this lawsuit. And then there's reported talks that Emma Stone is looking at her options regarding Cruella, because that was also on Disney Plus. Emily Blunt, maybe for Jungle Cruise. I know she negotiated some stuff for A Quiet Place 2 with the whole Paramount release strategy. But the difference between those actors are ScarJo was kind of done with her deal with Marvel. This was it. So she could do this. I mean, I'm sure Emma Stone is looking for Cruella 2, Emily Blunt, Jungle Cruise 2. So it's like they want those sequels. They want that money. So it's like,
yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe we'll get the Black Widow reboot in 5 years. And that's a transition to our first movie. In order to talk about, we have to go back. So guys, send us back.
We're back, baby.
Gotta get back in time.
All right. The Suicide Squad. It dropped August 5th, 2021 in theaters and on HBO Max. This DC superhero film starring Margot Robbie, Joel Kinnaman, and Viola Davis about a task force of convicts should not be confused with the 2016 film Suicide Squad. This superhero film stars Margot Robbie, Joel Kinnaman, and Viola Davis about a task force of convicts that are sent to destroy a Nazi-era laboratory in a giant alien Starro. All right, a lot to break down with this, comparing, contrasting with the 2016 one, which I think we talked about on the podcast way back when. But John, let's hear you first. What did you think of The Suicide Squad?
First off, why that name? Why is the next one going to be a Suicide Squad? Like, where are we going with this? But anyway,
another Suicide
Squad. I thought it was okay. I can kind of see if you're into that realm of comics and like the stylistic choices they made that you would be into it. I was just on it. I really wasn't digging the fake out at the beginning. With the third squad. Yeah. I think they kind of, it felt to me like they were just trying to cram in some celebrities as a, an extra selling point, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But overall, okay. There were some points that I was just like questioning why I was watching it. And there were some points that I thought were all right. So,
yeah. We're admittedly not superhero fans on the pod, so we'll probably, screw some things up and have some, hot takes. But I will say, I think it's definitely an improvement on the 2016
I think so.
David Ayer version. I think
I'll agree.
That one was dark and depressing. And man, I just want to have fun. And I think James Gunn, who wrote and directed this, brings the signature like humor from Guardians of the Galaxy, and and it's fun. And there's a lot of nice jokes we'll talk about, some fun set pieces, some fun new characters. But before we get there, Kyle, what did you think of the new Suicide Squad?
Okay. I did like the stylistic choices that John talked about. I like that it's almost like retro feel, but like 70s with like the it almost felt like a comic book guest with the little flashes in there. But I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting, and I thought it was a choice, and I felt like they did a good job with that. Going back to what John said with the other Suicide Squad within this movie, I was like, who are these guys? But I don't know. Are those like legitimate characters in this universe? I have no idea.
A weasel?
I think so. I think there's so many, like, because we saw it with Polka Dot Man and the one that like gets the mice, and it's just like, I think there are some like random ones where it's like, okay, this is a fun one to maybe show, but like we can't base a whole movie on this like thing. So it's like, let's just throw in some random cameos. We can kill them off, but yeah, I love in that first part though. They're like, we pretty much like yada yada the setup, because it's like even Viola Davis like, you remember the deal, because it's like 5 years ago we all saw it. we know how this works, so it's like we can fast forward through that, and get to this new group. Some new characters, some new stars. Let's see. We got rid of some of the crazy ones from the David Ayer version. The Leto's Joker, thankfully. We got rid of him real quick. Thank you for that. But let's talk about the new people. We got Idris Elba, we got John Cena. What do you think of these new characters, new actors in here, Kyle?
I mean, I like Idris Elba. I liked his character. I think he did the best job with it. Well, I mean, Margot Robbie with Harley Quinn does a really, really good job. But I thought I liked Idris Elba a lot. John Cena. I don't think he's an actor, but he did fine in his role. You know,
I love funny Cena. I love like the blockers and like the quippy. He's not a dramatic actor.
Yeah,
but like
he's not like an actor, but it's fine. It works. It works for him. It is what it is. Because in this world, honestly, it's not much different than wrestling. So I mean, what the hell? Why not just go for it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's see. We have Sylvester Stallone as the voice of King Shark. We got Polka Dot Man. Any thoughts on those guys?
Why?
Why not, John?
I don't know. I feel like you could have had something that had a bit more relevant, not relevance, but like, I feel like the polka dot guy just was sad and threw up, and the shark was just kind of there to be dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, he had one point where you threw polka dots and it made like an actual difference. And I think it actually blew up something that almost caused someone to die. So he wasn't even like, that helpful.
There was this one point where they like kill the entire group like in the jungle, only to find out that they're like the good guys. Helping Joel Kinnaman's character. Yeah. It's like, oh, whoops. Like, but I did like the polka dot man, like seeing like his mom everywhere. And
that was
like
funny.
Those cutaways, and then we saw like the giant mom at the end, taking over. But there's some of the choices like, really, this is your team. But I think it's supposed to be like, oh, here misfit, weirdos. That kind of goes back to like the Guardians thing. But I want one misfit, Pete Davidson. Let's shout him out real quick because he was quick on screen, and to me it was Pete as Pete.
Yeah.
What do you think about seeing Pete Davidson in the film?
Honestly, when I saw him, I just thought he looked like a big nerd. I was like, who is this? Like, why is he doing this? But I realize now, I mean, if I were a comedian and they were like, do you want to just come in and be blown up or whatever in like the first scene? I'd be like, all right, cool. I'll be in a superhero movie and I don't really have to do anything. Yeah. So, but as far as seeing Pete Davidson, I mean, it's fine.
I was worried at first. I thought he was going to be like a main person because with the fake out, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do a whole movie of this. So it's good that he like left quick.
Pete Davidson, an annoying weasel. Oh my god, whatever that thing was. Yeah, not happy with it.
Was it a dog? Right? Is that what he said? This is a dog. I will say, and as Kyle mentioned, there were some like nice directing choices, cool visual styles. Like they had like a point when they were doing there was like a flashback story with the woman who can control mice. She's talking in the bus window. We see the flashback and we get to see her. Cause a lot of times with flashback, you lose the performance, but we get to see the full monologue because we got to see both at the same time. And then like, there was a point where they like stab the starfish with, Harley stabs a starfish and there's like rats swimming alongside and biting into it. I'm like, it was like this weird, like oceany kind of look, but I'm like, it's kind of beautiful. I know it's like we got rats everywhere and like blood and it's like but it's kind of beautiful in a weird way. But yeah, despite all that, I think some stuff was like a little try hard with the shots. Like for me, like there was like this shot where it was like raining, but it was like bright sun, and it was like, okay, this is a cool shot of them in slow-mo walking, but like, wait, what? Like, why? What's this rainstorm that just came? I mean, sunny, like it's.
I think they make fun of that in like commercials and stuff and even in like honest trailers. Don't they have this in like So, I mean, I think it's just a common thing. Sometimes I don't know with this movie, is it like in on the joke or are we,
I think there are definitely some points where it is. Cause like there was a point halfway through the movie where like the comms, their home base was like sleeping and, you hadn't seen them in a while. And they were like woken up because they were like ready to be part of the story again. Like I feel like it's kind of sort of self-making fun of in certain ways. So I can totally see that fitting.
Yeah. I just thought there was like some like just extra. It was just being extra for being extra sake.
Yeah.
Like there was like a point when like I think it might have been Joel Kinnaman's or it was John Cena's character, I believe. Spoiler, that I think he gets like stabbed to the chest, or maybe it was Joel Kinnaman, I can't remember. But there's like a stab to the chest. We see the stab, and then we see a CSI effect of his actual heart, and then we see that get stabbed, and then we go back out, and then we see his body. It's like, why do we need to see the heart?
Yeah,
we know
he
got stabbed. Like, okay, you just wanted a cool heart thing. It was just like extra. And it just goes to show I can't remember even what character it was. So it was
Flag, wasn't it? It was
Flag.
Peacemaker did the Flag.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was both of them, the two people I was thinking. But yeah, I think it's just overall, I think like it was long. It was like there was like a lot of missions. It was like, okay, we got to save Rick Flag. Okay, now we go to the Thinker. Okay, now we go save Harley. Now we go to this. And by the time we got to like the starfish as like Godzilla, I was kind of like zoning out, and it just felt to me like building destroying porn. It was just like, oh, here's another building falling, a building falling. It's just okay.
I gotta say, this villain though is not doing it for me, dude.
The starfish,
when they introduced it, I just started dying laughing. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was like, wait, is it serious? Like, and then the people are talking with the starfish over. It's just. It kind of lost me a little bit once they introduced.
And then how the little starfish come out.
Yeah.
It's just.
They look like birds when they came out.
Yeah. And that's where I was like, wait, is this a joke or are they serious? I can't tell right now.
Yeah. And we get to all this like action and stuff. And I mean, it won't be for everyone. I feel like it is very violent, especially compared to the first one. The first one, PG-13. This one is R-rated. And I'm fine with violent stuff. Maybe I'm almost used to this kind of stuff with the stuff I have to watch. And at points, I'm like, it almost felt kind of bland and not realistic. I mean, between the CG of the building destruction and like some of the other like whatever body ripping effects, I'm like, okay, like it just seems almost too over the top to make it seem more violent, but then it makes it seem less real, if that makes sense. I don't know. Then again, I haven't really in real life seen this level of violence, so I don't know if I'm just watching so many movies and TV shows that I have a level of gore and blood and what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah. Well, for me, it wasn't so much the violence; it was like the reaction. So afterwards, I love bringing levity to situations and all that, but some of the I liked a lot of the jokes, but some of the jokes just the timing didn't feel right, because it was like, wait, you just like had like somebody die, and it's like, well, that was crazy, but don't there. Like it was just like such too casual about it, and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But that's where some of those jokes didn't land to me, where after those moments of like crazy action or like something crazy, like dramatic happened, and it would be like such a weird timing joke. And I'm like, all right, that one didn't work for me, but I guess they can't all. So.
And I think, I can't remember which one of you said it kind of had like that like 70s kind of feel, but like there was a point for me, I don't know if 70s is the right word, but it kind of, the costuming felt kind of almost basic or almost student filmy, if that makes sense. The polka dot man at points just looked like he had like lights under his sweater, lighting up, and Peter Capaldi's character had like little lights and chess pieces just like glued on to his bald cap. And it's just like, I know it's like, hey, it's practical effects and this kind of filmmaking, but I don't know, it just seemed, maybe it was because again I was watching it on my TV screen and not on the big screen, but like there's points that it just felt just, I don't know, basic.
I feel you, dude. I get it. I just also want to mention, I don't know where you're going to go to next, but I dig. This is definitely like an action movie through and through, which is good because it seems like there's a lot going on from start to finish. But as far as character wise, there is nothing. These are so superficial. Like, I don't even think we learned any backstory on like many.
The only one we learned was like the rat woman.
That
can control rats. That's the only one. Really
that's the only one too. I was gonna mention it. That's the only one that I remember the backstory to. Otherwise, it's just like, let's shoot them up, boys. And I'm like, all right, we can do that. I want to real quick talk about box office, because that's a kind of a story that we've been
kind of following throughout the year with these HBO Max films, because this one kind of, there was predictions that it was going to be low, probably in like the 30 million range, which would be scary in a non-COVID time, but it actually underwhelmed from those predictions and got about 26.5 million at the weekend box office. And there was, I mean, a lot against it. You know, I can run through a few and we can try to figure out what it is, but like, you know, obviously there's confusion over the connection of this film with the 2016 film. Which, let's say, was bad. So it's like, is this a sequel to that? Is this a reboot of that? Is it connected to that? There's actors and characters from that film in this film. It's the same title. Do I have to see the first one? So it's like, there's that. There's the HBO Max of it all being available there. And then obviously the concern of Delta and other variants rising. And then you have, I mean, there's box office stars in this, but there's no like Will Smith in this one. There's their names. They're good, you know, celebs, but you know, it's not Will Smith. So I don't know if it was any of those, a mix of it all. What do you think it was, Kyle, why this didn't maybe connect at the, you know, box office this weekend?
I just think it's impossible. It's impossible right now to figure out what's going on with the box office just with the situation of COVID. I mean, they're two are linked. If people don't feel comfortable sitting around other people, they're either going to stay home to watch it or they're just not going to watch it. So I think it's the COVID related thing. I think is what it comes down to. And HBO Max has made it available to people watching from home. The Suicide Squad, I definitely wouldn't have gone to the theaters to watch it, but I feel much more comfortable watching it at home. And I'm glad they've given me that option. And even if COVID wasn't a thing, don't know if I'd go see the Suicide Squad in theaters. So HBO Max should be happy that they gave it to us the way they did, because I don't know when else I would have saw it.
Yeah, and I got this bit of news I added right at the start of the podcast, because Samba Analytics, they kind of do kind of for streaming different, like, you know, ratings and stuff. They compared it to Mortal Kombat. That came out April 2021. So I guess, you know, around the time vaccines are getting available, 23.3 million opening weekend for Mortal Kombat, rated R, just like this film. So it's about 3 million less than Suicide Squad, Mortal Kombat. But they say it was actually 26% behind the 3.8 million US households that streamed it on HBO Max. This got 2.8 million its first weekend streamed online. So it's like, it kind of like In the Heights, it doesn't seem to be fully connecting at the theaters or on HBO Max. So I don't know if it goes back to, like, you know, the first Suicide Squad didn't connect. 5 years later, here we go trying it again. Maybe 5 years from now, we'll try one more time and see if that's the third time's a charm. I don't know.
I mean, it could be. I'm trying to remember. It's not a good thing if I can't remember if I've seen any marketing for it. Like, I didn't see anything in the subway and transit. I mean, I maybe remember a few commercials or trailers for it, but I haven't seen much marketing for it in general. So I don't know. That doesn't bode well for a movie that you want to do well if it's a summer, you know, summer thing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we got a few more movies that are going to be coming out on HBO Max day and date this year. And then just before we got on the podcast for 2022, it was announced today that AMC Theaters and Warner Brothers struck a deal for 2022 of a 45-day theatrical window, kind of similar what Paramount is doing with their films and then putting them on Paramount Plus. So it looks like the window is shortening just overall in general. Things are going to be a little bit in theaters and then streaming. It's all going to streaming. That's the focus of these companies nowadays. So, all right. We got a streaming service to talk about, Apple TV Plus, Mr. Corman, the series premiere. Good luck. Let's see. It was on August 6th. Created, written, directed, and starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. This dramedy is about the days and nights of a public school teacher in the San Fernando Valley. All right, Kyle, let's hear it. What did you think of the premiere of Mr. Corman?
I thought it was decent. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it overall. I will say Joseph Gordon-Levitt seems to have like an aesthetic. I feel like when you see him, you kind of get the vibe that he has that hit record Joe kind of vibe to him. You know what I mean? But I like the little opening they had. I can't with all the I don't know
In the
if it
shower
was like all the yeah that was really cool.
Collage almost.
Yeah, it was very cool. I did like that. Which is interesting because the later one where we see him get punched, I didn't like that so much because it felt like it took me out of it. But I did that there is some production stylings that are interesting and different. I like that about it. I thought the writing was pretty legitimate. I mean, the questions and things that he was saying in the classroom, I've had similar experiences, and even just his experience going out with like the female, you could see some real life dialogue in there. So I feel like it's legit. I feel like people could relate to this. So I think overall, I think it's good.
Yeah, I think a lot's going to come down to Joseph Gordon-Levitt. If you like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I mean, obviously, he's behind and in front of the camera on this one. This is him. This is his project. So if you don't like him or his style of hit record Joe, this may not be for you. But the visual flourishes, I mean, as you mentioned, the intro with the collage, when he's slapped by a woman at the end, he flies out the window, and you got a sequence of him swimming with microphones that kind of resemble sperm towards the sun egg that turns into a fried egg. And it's like, what does this all mean? And I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I have no idea, but it looks cool. It's visually, different. Like it's, definitely breaks up this story that can be, for the most part, it's a sad sack white guy in LA failing with his music dream. It's like, so it breaks up that kind of monotony. John, I didn't know you watched it. So what did you think of the premiere, Mr. Corman?
I am not sure where it's going. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but is there an overarching story? Is this the story of him recovering from whatever date or X or whatever that was talked about? Is this the story of him getting back into music? Is it the story of him finding out what his life is worth? Is it all of those? I'm just not quite sure yet. And I mean, it's only been a 30-minute show for the first episode, so I'm okay not knowing yet. But I usually like to kind of see what the issue is, and I don't quite see what the major issue is. And obviously, there's plenty of smaller ones that maybe make up the big one. But other than that, I enjoyed it. I like Kyle. I really like that intro section. And I did like the visuals for that that kind of midway break. I think it would be nicer to see a little bit more of those and have them be a little bit more abstract. I think I'm not sure. I definitely like the intro more than the swimming sequence, but yeah, overall it was okay. I don't know if I'm revving to watch another one, but I'm not saying no.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like right now, I need something a little more. I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I like the visual style, but I just need to know where this is going and what we're doing and what makes this show different and why he felt the need to tell this specific story. For him to come back to TV after all these years from Third Rock from the Sun, like what made you come back with this project? And I listened to this one interview from him, which kind of gives it maybe a little behind the scenes that will influence the second half of the season. But they were shooting the show in LA right around February, March 2020. They did about 30% of it, probably those first like 3 episodes or so. And then COVID hit. And then the pretty much they were told, what do you want to do here? We were going to wait this out, or you can go to New Zealand and shoot the rest of it. And so that's what they ended up doing. They went to New Zealand, and I think it's still supposed to stand in for LA in New Zealand. But as a teacher, they wanted, to make it of this time. They don't want to make it like an alternate version of reality. They don't want to set it in the past. So COVID will play a part. There will be, it's probably like you'll see him dealing with COVID. And with this character, this guy who, we see in the first scene, he wants to go out. He wants to do stuff. He doesn't want to be home alone playing video games. He wants to do stuff. So we're going to probably be interesting to see, like someone dealing with that, especially as a teacher with COVID and Zoom and with all that stuff. I don't know if that's going to alienate some of the audience, because it's like, there's a lot of people. It's like, enough of Zoom, enough of COVID. I can't, I need to escape. But then there's other people that are going to want to get into that. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out. But even just outside of the animation, which I'm sure they're going to be doing more of, especially with COVID, they're probably gonna have to do more effects and with filming and maybe some animations and stuff like that. I noticed there is a lot of the camera moving around, and there's a lot of one takes in this. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a lot of long one takes that they would do, following him and the woman out of the bar to the garden, and then the camera spins as they chat.
That was a long one.
That was a long take. And I really wonder if it's like this all done to kind of liven up some of these kind of basic conversations. Some of it felt like Seinfeld for me. He's talking with his roommate. Oh, we need to go out. What should we do? The bar. But nobody has anything interesting at the bar, but we're at the bar. It's like this kind of like, oh, what's the deal with it? And I did see that the showrunner, Bruce Eric Kaplan, wrote for Seinfeld, 6 Feet Under, Girls. So maybe it is kind of a little bit of that, and they're trying to break it up, with the camera movements. Yeah. Did you notice that, Kyle, with the camera
I
around?
did notice. I didn't pick up on it as well as you, but I think more subconsciously, I do remember that very long take around, and it was, it was interesting and made it more lively. And you can kind of see both of their reactions in real time to the situation. So I thought it worked for the actors as well.
Yeah. So the show ends, took his piano back out, maybe following his dream. We'll have to wait and see. But I think that's where mostly this is going to be going. Him, I think, he did give up. Now he's going to not give up, ungive up.
Yeah. I think there's something relatable to the story to some people, I'm sure. And depending on how the writing is, it could be worth it.
All right, real quick, we'll run down the line. Kyle, you gonna watch more?
Yeah.
All right, John.
I'm open to it. Not quite sure yet.
Yeah, I think it's back burner. If I hear good things, I'll check out. I'm not going to see it right now because I got a bunch of other things on the list that I'm catching up on and rewatching for, the second season of things that are coming out soon. But yeah, all right. One last thing tonight. We're squeezing it in. It's a new segment. We're going to try to maybe look every week at a trailer, whether it's for a movie or a TV show or something coming out soon. I guess it's a coming attraction, if you will. John, do we have any special stuff for the coming attractions?
Here are some exciting coming attractions.
All right. Some special coming attractions. House of Gucci. That's what we're talking about tonight. The trailer of this film, directed by Ridley Scott. It's going to be a crime film that stars an ensemble of Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Jared Leto, Jeremy Irons, Selma Hayek, and Al Pacino. And it deals with a redacted for spoilers event involving the head of Gucci fashion. All right. We saw the trailer. That's all we're going off of. That's it. Your thoughts of the trailer, Kyle?
I love the ensemble cast. Jared Leto looks like a different human being, so makeup is out of this world. But I am interested in the story. It seems pretty wild. I mean, I didn't really get much from the trailer. I just know it's kind of vague, secret. Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga and Adam Driver, they just looking at them, just production design wise, you could just see from the trailer, like it looks like it's gonna be pretty good production design wise.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like the
I'm
time
interested to see that.
And all the props and like the costuming, like it brings you to that time period. And it's crazy because you look at Ridley Scott's year, he has The Last Duel, a medieval film with Adam Driver, but also Ben Affleck and Matt Damon and Jodie Comer. And then he also has this coming out like a month later. It's like two different ends of the spectrum of movies. And this one, to me, I kind of already feel like I know John's thoughts before he even said it, but I'll get to John. It's like, it feels very campy, but also very like fun camp. Like it's like Wolf of Wall Street, Succession, and like the world of fashion. You put it in a blender, you get this. And as you said, Jared Leto, caked in makeup, looks like Jeffrey Tambor. I don't know why I know why you don't get him, but also Leto has some issues too. But I don't know. It's like there's no character actor that you can't find that looks like that. Yeah. Okay. John, what do you think?
Yeah, it looks interesting. It reminds me a little bit from the trailer anyway of what was the one, the American Crime with the white Bronco and all that? What was the show with that? What was that
the People vs. OJ?
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of that. Just this snippet, but with a little bit more maybe humor and like you said, a little campy mixed in. But I'm interested. I mean, it has some big names behind it. I definitely give it a chance. You know, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. But it didn't turn me off.
I will say there was one part. The trailer like has a weird shift though towards the end where like the music starts crescendoing. It looks like it turns into Inception where there's white skiers like doing that, and I'm like, did we just turn into like the snow part of Inception right here? But it gets really, so it kind of changes at the end. But I'm interested, and I feel like Lady Gaga could pull it off, man. I think she could pull it off.
Yeah, I will say I love to see more. There are points where the accents are a little bit all over the place.
I think, but I think it's gonna work.
There's points where Gaga sounds Russian, which I believe is weird because I'm pretty sure she's Italian in real life and Gucci's Italian, so you think it'd be easier for her. But yeah, I have that in my head. The line at the end of the trailer, father, son, house of Gucci. Like it's just like that's gonna be a meme. That'll be something for sure. But
yeah.
All right. Let's see. House of Gucci. Should have looked up the release date if I'm going to be talking about it, but we'll see. It comes out according to November 24th.
So like Thanksgiving time,
around Thanksgiving. It's doing that awards push. So we'll see if we talk about it in November. But that's it for tonight. Next week, we got some comedies. We're going to be talking about some comedies that are ending and then some that are starting to end. Dave season 2 and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the final season. So that's going to be some comedy. And maybe, I saw that The White Lotus is ending too. I might have some thoughts. I think you guys are keeping up with it. So maybe we'll squeeze that in too. Because, you know, it's a miniseries. At least that's what they say now. So it'll be the only time we're allowed to talk about it until season 2 gets officially greenlit. But all right. You can find episodes of the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, the blog, DualRedundancy.com. Of course, Tuesday nights, twitch.tv/Dual Redundancy. Tonight we did Monday, but next week, back to Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dual Redundancy. And this week, I got to thank my roommate and girlfriend, Siobhan, for the coming attractions segment. She's like, you got to talk about House of Gucci. That's how it all started. That's how a new segment was born.
That's what the people want.
That's what people want. And got to thank both of you guys for watching everything. John directing the show. Get up on iTunes. Couldn't do it without you guys.
Sure.
Yeah, man.
All right, that's it. Until next time, I'm David Allen.
I'm the John Berwick.
I'm just Kyle Bridger.
And that's all we got for the Dual Redundancy. Goodbye, everybody.